The 1970s, it's the decade that started with singer-songwriters. It ended with disco, and in the middle, the distinct sound of Philadelphia. It generated 13 top 10 hits on the Billboard charts here in the US. I'm Phil Yale, and today on Trippin' Up, I'm challenging Tripp Rogers and, yes, you, to name 10 of those 13 Philly soul chart smashes. Think you can drop the needle on this one? Tripp, are you ready?
I am ready, my friend.
Let's start tripping. You can fire away.
All right. Well, first of all, you're talking about the sound of Philadelphia. So TSOP by MFSB.
Number one on the list. Absolutely correct.
I knew that. And there's a couple stories about that song, which we can talk about in the post show. That was the era of, I think, the O'Jays. So let's Love Train.
Love Train. Very good. Yes, Love Train by the O'Jays.
Backstabbers by the O'Jays.
Got to go down through my list here. Backstabbers by the O'Jays reached number 3 in 1972.
Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes were one, so obviously we'll pick off their big songs. The Love I Lost.
Absolutely, it peaked at number 7 back in 1973.
Wake Up Everybody.
I am not seeing.
Okay, they may not be on the list.
There is another Harold and Melvin and the Blue Notes song on the list.
Bad Luck.
Not on this list.
Oh, oh, whoa. All right. If You Don't Know Me By Now.
I was just looking at. That's it. It peaked at number 3. That was in 1972.
I will say, in my mind, I'm looking at the unique. It was a green label, and Philadelphia International had the intertwined P's for their logo at the top. So I'm trying to think of the green label songs, and Philadelphia. Billy Paul, Me and Mrs. Jones.
Me and Mrs. Jones peaked number 1 in 1972.
Yeah. Yeah, well, again, Billy Paul, and that was his only real big hit. But he lived in Philadelphia. Listen, he was a true Philadelphia artist. He lived in Philadelphia all his life. Passed away a few years ago. Okay.
TSOP. You talked about that song. It featured a group.
Oh! When Will I See You Again by the 3 Degrees?
Right. That song peaked at number 2 back in 1974.
Are there any stylistic songs on here?
Let's take a look, Aaron.
Because I know they're from Philadelphia, but they were on Atco Records.
I am not seeing any by the stylistics. Right. Let me go through the ones that you've got. TSOP, Me and Mrs. Jones, The Love Train. Those were the 3, plus When Will I See You Again? That's 4. If You Don't Know Me By Now, it's 5. Backstabbers is 6. The Love I Lost is 7. Just looking for 3 more, including there was another one by the O'Jays.
For the Love of Money?
For the Love of Money. That peaked at number 9 back in 1974. There was another
song to the Celebrity Apprentice.
And then there is another song by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. It was later covered and was one heck of a disco era hit that would go to number 1. They took their version to number 5 in 1975.
I love Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Well, of course, Teddy Pendergrass was the lead singer for them. And he was great. Oh.
There's what's the largest city in Texas?
Dallas.
What's another large city in Dallas? Or in Texas? Down on the Gulf.
Houston.
There's your hint. Disco artist. Last name Houston. First name.
Oh, Thelma Houston. Don't Leave Me This Way.
Don't Leave Me This Way. Tripp, I did not know that was actually a cover song. I learned something new with every episode that I do. A couple by the group Delfonics.
Oh, the Delfonics. La 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 Means I Love You.
La La Means I Love You. I just picked something up. We're talking about the 70s. La La Means I Love You actually reached number 4 in 1968. instead of in the 70s, but they did have one in 1970. It peaked at number 10. It won a Grammy.
So I should know that. Didn't I blow your mind?
Didn't I blow your mind this time by the Delfonics? Then there's one. There's
okay.
You mentioned. Let's see how many. I think you've got 10. Let me go through the list here real quick again. TSOP 1, 2, 3, 4. If you don't know me by now, it's 5. Backstabbers is 6. La La, it's a bonus one. We'll call it 7. Don't Leave Me This Way is 8. The Love I Lost 9. For the Love of Money 10. And then Didn't I Blow Your Mind? So you've already got more than 10. A couple on the list. One was by a group called McFadden and
McFadden and Whitehead, Ain't No Stopping Us Now.
Peaked at number 13 back in 1979. And then earlier you mentioned Teddy Pendergrass.
Close the Door.
Close the Door. Now peaked at number 25 back in 1978. I knew you would nail this, being from New Jersey, which is right next door to Philadelphia. In the post-show rap.
And I wanted to save this for the post-show. First thing about Philadelphia is that's where American Bandstand was located. Okay. So in the 1950s and in the early 60s, you had American Bandstand out of Philadelphia, out of Channel 6's studios in Philadelphia. So you had a lot of record companies there in Philadelphia because of access to Dick Clark, who was a host of American Bandstand, and Frankie Avalon, Bobby Rydell, Fabian. All those guys were Philly guys, but then you started a radio station in Philadelphia. Jocko Henderson was a very famous disc jockey. If you go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you will see him mentioned in there. And I've seen a couple of documentaries on DJs in the 50s, and he was one of the most influential DJs. Well, his show was based in Philadelphia, so a lot of this Philly soul stuff started there, and that's where it would break, and Jocko would be the guy who would do it. Now, I promised you an extra. TSOP by MFSB. Now, if you listen to it, you know it is the theme song to Soul Train. Right. Soul Train debuted. It was in Chicago. Don Cornelius is another legendary performer, DJ. Well, Don Cornelius came up with Soul Train, and this was a huge show. It was the African American equivalent American Bandstand, and everybody would appear on that show. Even white artists would appear on that show because it was so big. And the theme song was great. That's the way they started every show, and it was very, very catchy. So Thom Bell and the folks from Philadelphia International Records went to Don Cornelius and said, "Hey, we want to release this as a single." Don Cornelius said no. Did not want it to be commercialized. So they went and they got the 3 Degrees to record, and they changed it a little bit, but it's essentially the same instrumental pattern. They released it as TSOP, which is the sound of Philadelphia. MFSB has a rather graphic description, but it actually stands for mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers.
I can imagine what the MFS was, or the MF.
Yeah, just you can do that. We're adults here. The story is and it went to number 1, and it was the first television show theme recognized as the first television show theme to hit number 1 on the Hot 100 since Billboard started the chart in 1958. Don Cornelius said in later years, biggest regret of his career always was not licensing that title, because he would have made so much money. He said, there's one I missed. And the other story I wanted to tell was Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Teddy Pendergrass, of course, was a singer with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and he, became very popular with them to the point that Philadelphia International said, "Okay, Teddy, we want you to do something solo." And so that was Close the Door was his first single. And of course, if you know the story of Teddy Pendergrass, you know the tragedy. He was lived in Philadelphia, got into an accident with his Bentley, Rolls Royce, excuse me, and was paralyzed. And one of the high moments of Live Aid was when Teddy Pendergrass came out with Ashford and Simpson and performed. And it was, and again, for a Philadelphia guy to appear at a Philadelphia concert, it was unreal because nobody expected him to be there. He was in a wheelchair. Teddy had some health issues and passed away, I think, in the early 90s, but still had the voice, still could sing. And Teddy Pendergrass was great. And the Harold Melvin, the Blue Note songs are just wonderful. And all the songs you mentioned, by the way, let me give a plug here. You can hear them on WTRSradio.com because I play them all the time. They're great.
I got one last thing for our post-show wrap-up session, and that is the group The O'Jays. Do you know the history of how they got their name?
Named after Cleveland disc jockey Eddie O.J.
Gotta sneak that. Gotta sneak that one in there. I know. Man. That was a layup, baby. That was a layup.
Oh, hey, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, there you go, man. Come on.
Tripp was able to successfully complete this challenge. How'd you do? Let us know in the comment section. Please push the subscribe and like buttons as well. Check out the show description. I'll have that link to WTRS Radio that Tripp referred to. And you can also follow Tripp on WRHQ.com, 105.3 FM in Savannah, Georgia. He also makes a lot of appearances on the Phil Yale channel, which you want to check out for the other 60s and 70s pop music videos. Thanks again for joining us on this edition of Trippin' Up.